Live from Narrabri, this is a special rugby edition of Paul Murray Live in partnership with Santos.
G'day Australia, welcome to Narrabri in regional New South Wales. This is a special place on a special weekend. This weekend, lots of footy all around the country. Our focus here is the Santos Festival of Rugby. Narrabri in regional New South Wales is like many country towns when it comes together around big occasions, and this is a very big occasion for what is a self-declared, but I also believe officially judged, sportiest town in all of Australia. There's literally a monument to it just around the park. Where we are right now is the main drag, the main street where the Festival of Rugby is officially beginning. Up and down here, there are so many examples of locals, not just coming to say g'day, but also local businesses and the people who are the reason that we are here. Santos, the company that has invested so heavily in this area when it comes to things like gas that employs so many locals, well, they are the reason that we are here. This is a commercial arrangement, this is a partnership, this is a sponsorship, but it also is an opportunity for us to have a chat to the locals, because not enough people in regional Australia get their chance on telly. As you know, we've been going around the country for many years, and it's such a privilege to be here. It's also an opportunity for us to show you, yes, what the company does, but also to maybe just spell a few myths along the way. We'll also have a chat to the boss of Santos. There has been some big news around them in the past couple of days, but about why they are so committed to regional Australia and why events like this are part of that relationship. And again, what I love about a country town is that it comes together. What I love about this country town on this particular night is that it is coming together to celebrate not just a very significant employer, but also to celebrate itself and a sport that Narrabri's got quite a connection to. Plenty of connections through to the New South Wales Waratahs, the Queensland Reds will be here as well. Plenty of people enjoying themselves. Give us a wave, say hello everyone, you're on the telly. Quick run away in case they get caught. No, but it is also an opportunity, as I said, to have a chat to as many locals as possible. I tell you, whenever you come to a regional centre, whenever you're able to come to the main drag, on particularly, say, the past couple of days when we've been here, this is one of those places where it doesn't matter what shop you go into, be it the Greyhound, be it the Butchers, or you name it, up and down the street. You can sit there and have a good chat to people for a good hour, not just about the events of this weekend, but what is going on in their lives. And just like everyone in regional Australia, this is a place, hello mate, this is a place that has got a big story to tell, but also has got plenty of questions that it wants asked of leaders as well. Regional Australia deserves the exact same comforts, the exact same conditions and the exact same support that everyone does in the cities. Now, again, this is not going to be an overtly political moment. That's normally our traditional show. We try to park the politics, and I'm not even going to do a news editorial because I just wanted to talk about the importance of the regions and do that with us at the start of a big weekend, not just in this town, but of course around the country. Now, Narrabri and the Festival of Rugby is something that they've had a few times. Roma, up in Queensland, in country Queensland, another place where Santos has got great relationships and has got very significant resources. Well, the Festival of Rugby, it alternates between those two locations. In a couple of minutes, I'll take you over to the rugby club and where we spent the time last night with a whole bunch of people who are training for their part of what is their own version of a grand final, their own version of a big moment when it comes to the field. Yes, I even have the chance to muck around with a few kids whose skills are obviously way better than mine could ever be. I also have the opportunity, and again, we'll show you this a little bit later, where you may well have heard a lot about what happens when you get a gas well on a farm. Well, there are plenty of farms that have them and have had them for a long period of time, and it might surprise you what some of those places actually look like. Again, we'll get to all of that in a moment or two's time. But Friday afternoon, it is a time, obviously, for friends and family, but in a regional town, it really is one of the big nights of the week. The opportunity after hard yakka, be it in the fields, be it in the offices, whatever it happens to be, it's an opportunity to get together and make the most of what is a beautiful city. The Traveller pub, which is just down the road, we'll have a look at that a little bit later. That's one of the best I've ever walked into. I didn't think we could do better in terms of a country pub than the ones that we had a look at in Renmark in South Australia. Well, we're hitting a new vibe, the ultimate version of 5 stars. But the bevies, well, they do make it a little further out from the pub, but as you can see, the whole town out and about now. And these are the great opportunities, aren't they? The opportunities to say good day, the opportunities to meet up, the opportunities to do something a little bit different. And obviously, moments like this only happen because of events like this. Again, because of that relationship that Santos has with its community, and it's a privilege for us to be able to be here and have a look at what that relationship is. Now, the reality also of the gas story, and this is just obvious, right? This doesn't need to be the broadcast. It doesn't have to be the partnership. It doesn't have to be me travelling to Narrabri. But the real issue is that as we make our transitions and governments have made their choices, the reality is nuclear's off the table, coal's slowly being turned down, so gas is going to be what they're going to refer to in many ways as the firming technology, the stuff that's going to guarantee that, well, if there's not enough wind, not enough sun, or even when there is plenty of that and the batteries start to fade, well, it's going to be gas that's going to be keeping things going. Now, the Narrabri gas project is one that is going to really ramp up over the next couple of years, and certainly we know that the New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns, is absolutely aware of the importance of this project, of this city, of this company, and of this community. Because the reality is that while, yes, the early stages are able to power this town and power the regions, eventually the pipelines, and most of those will be a metre underground, those will of course be sending it to Newcastle, and that of course is able to feed its way back into the state grid, and given the idea of the national grid, well obviously that's the way that we're going to power things. Oh, that's awesome. How good's that? Not just a bit of a sword, but you've got a bubble machine off the end of it. I have to find out where I get one of those. My little girls will be watching and they'll say, Dad, can you bring home the unicorn with the very fancy horn? I love that. That's cool. Make sure that, I won't take it off that young lady, don't worry, but we'll find one. There'll be plenty that will be able to go around and have a look. But you look, that is in part the reality of the story of gas. The conversation, and one that I'm going to have a chat to with the boss of Santos and some other people down the track too, is about making sure that obviously there's enough of it, that we're keeping enough of it, that we're able to make sure that that technology, which is going to be relied upon more and more, is going to be able to do the job into the next few years. But again, this is very much intended to be just a Friday night hangout in regional Australia, or a Friday night hangout in regional New South Wales. Now, on top of the conversations in and around the resources sector here, obviously, sorry as my notes go flying here, a little gust every now and then, wonderful spring weather. Honestly, we've had an absolutely ripping couple of days here, and I don't want to preview too much here, so don't roll any tapes anywhere, but some of the magic light that was around yesterday, now I've been lucky enough to be able to see with my own eyes a sunrise in Darwin, and that's probably my favourite sunset as well, I should say. There is a difference, of course. You should be able to enjoy those. I've seen a sunrise, I've seen a sunset in places like Broome in Western Australia. Well, I tell you what, the sunset here yesterday, having a look over the fields and up into the mountains, was something that was just perfect, and particularly perfect when we were having a look at the Festival of Rugby preparations that were happening here yesterday. But again, we're going to have a chat in and around some of the footy. An Olympic gold medalist will be joining us. The women's sevens team is an absolutely cracking example, not just of rugby union, but about Australian athletes at its best. The cheering that you're hearing there is, in fact, the female squad of the Waratahs, just double checking their passing skills and abilities, making sure that the kids can have a go as well. Yeah, I'll give it a crack a little bit later. The Queensland Reds, they are here as well. And of course, a Wallaby legend, a man who has been now explaining the game for almost as long as he was part of it, an absolute legend of you name it, World Cup, Bledisloe Cup, plenty of trophies for Tim Horan, and he'll join us here in just a few moments. All right, so let's get it underway. The next couple of days, it is all about the Festival of Rugby that is going to be playing here in Narrabri. The preparations were spectacular. The kids are pumped up, and even the over 35s are getting a bit of a run this weekend.
16, 58, 32. Send it.
The Santos Festival of Rugby. It is a 2-day festival happening here in Narrabri this weekend. Guests of the New South Wales Waratahs and the Queensland Reds will be on the field playing in the feature game on the weekend, but it's also an opportunity for the future of the sport to be able to mingle with the people who they look up to, literally and figuratively, but also for the community to come together and celebrate as only the bush can.
Tackle him, Ellie, tackle him.
Oh, showbiz. This man Mountain, and I mean literally, hi, DK, is all things rugby here in Narrabri. The joint looks amazing.
Yeah, look, Dango Park's polished right up. We're looking forward to welcoming everyone here. It's looking about as good as it can, so we're excited for what's coming ahead.
I love seeing the kids play. I know that there's a whole bunch of over 35s that'll give it a crack as well. It feels like rugby is well and truly part of this town.
Absolutely, yeah. This year we actually fielded teams in every single grade, all the way from under sixes, our boys and girls through the youth comps, all the way up to, on Sunday, the Pickled Porkers, our Golden Oldies team, will take the field. So it's certainly a really strong club and a really strong part of our community, and one of the things that brings us together.
Now, again, it must be nice that you got an event like this, because this isn't about, did we make the finals, didn't make the finals, all the rest of it, right? This is the event in and of itself. Does everyone look forward to it? Do they know that it's this special treat that's coming?
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, it's in September, so it's post-season. The last couple have been in the pre-season, so it's a little bit different, but it's going to be a really fun way to sign off our season. We had a successful one. Our girls won their third premiership in a row, which is pretty exciting. So, but yeah, we've been looking forward to it as a pretty neat way to celebrate our season and with the wider rugby community too.
So again, we mentioned about how beautiful this ground looks right now, but literally everything from an entertainment stage to flash scoreboards, you've got special grandstands all over. This is pretty top class stuff.
It is, absolutely, yeah. And a pretty clear example of why there's not too many reasons why this sort of event and our top level sports can't be coming out to the regions and connecting back with their grassroots.
Lovely to meet you, lovely to see you. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you having us.
Sport is the lifeblood of Narrabri. Players from this town have been feeding the Waratahs and Wallabies for years. And when people start playing this game, they stick with it. Morgan runs the Tourist Hotel right in the centre of town. And what goes better than a couple of bevies and the footy?
It's a great place to meet people and you have a lot of fun and a few beers along the way, but it's also the core memories. It's some of the closest mates I have, and we've won premierships together, which means we're lifelong friends.
But we all know it's about the kids.
My young boy's 6, so I'm very involved in that. It's the memories you make, it's the friends you introduce to along the way.
Don't think for a second I wasn't going to get involved.
There's a specific training drill that I've just developed right now. It's called Kicky Chasey, all right? Kicky, kids, Chasey. Now, who thinks they can tackle me? Nah, rubbish. I'm going to score a try. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes! Yes! I'm trying to promote the ball! Save me! Who loves playing rugby? Who loves playing rugby in Narrabri? Who's going to play for Australia? Who's better than the fat bloke from TV playing rugby? Yay! And when you're talking about rugby, there is none other than the great legend that is Tim Horan, who joins us now right here in the main drag of Narrabri, thanks to the very good people of Santos and, of course, their Festival of Rugby. Great, man. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you, Paul. Yeah.
Oh, so good to be here. All right, so this is not the first time this has rolled into town, and it's not the first time the festival's happened. You've been associated with it for a long time. Just give us an idea of where it started and how it is now.
Yeah, it was funny. I reckon it was about 8 years ago. Kevin Gallagher and I, the CEO of Santos, sat down at a pub and Kevin, he said to me, I want to create this festival of rugby, a bit like the Santos Tour down under with the bike ride. I said, that's great, we can have a local rugby team play another local rugby team. He said, no, I want the Queensland Reds to play the Waratahs. I said, that's not going to happen, but we've done it now for 5 years. The last 4 years, obviously Roma 2 years and Narrabri for 2 years, so this is the 5th time we've had it, but it now comes around every year, and normally it's the pre-season for the Waratahs and the Queensland Reds, a bit later this year, and it's just great, Paul, for when you see the amount of young boys and girls here with Wallaby jerseys on, Waratahs jersey on, Reds jerseys on, and they love the game of rugby. I think rugby's nearly back.
So what is it about Narrabri and its connection to Union? Because I loved, as we saw in the little package, the kids were awesome, boys and girls playing from a very young age. But this place has produced some people over the years, but it does seem to have a particular passion for the sport.
Yeah, it does. I think, any community, whether it's rugby union or rugby league or other sports, I think it brings everyone together. Sport in these bigger communities, especially the country areas, allows people to come together on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and whether it's junior rugby on a Sunday morning, and everyone can come together. You drive 2 or 3 hours for training and on a Thursday night, and I think that's all part of that country rugby atmosphere or the sporting atmosphere around Australia.
There's something about country footy, isn't there? And it doesn't matter, again, I mentioned it before, we were watching country footy in Renmark, country footy in Kalgoorlie, country footy all over the place, and it doesn't matter what the code is, because it is something that is a connection point, a collection point. Plenty of people, it's either the highlight of the week is the training, or the highlight on the weekend is, well, not quite an ice bath, but maybe some frozen peas after.
That's where the beer's kept now,
Correct,
the ice bars.
Correct.
I think it's great. I mean, I've been coming to Narrabri now for about 12 years, and to see the likes of a young kid called Sid Harvey and Joey Fowler, two guys that 10 years ago I had photos with, they're about this tall, and now they're going to play for the New South Wales Waratahs tomorrow against the Queensland Reds here, and that's what you want to see from the country. You want to see the dreams of these young boys and girls that grow up in the country. They still know they've got an opportunity to play professional footy. And 10 years ago at Narrabri, there wasn't a women's team here. Now they've got a couple of sevens teams here, and it's growing the game.
Now, a great mutual friend of ours, one that you worked with for a while, Slats, has always been a great proponent of rugby, getting me into it, watch this, watch that, middle of the night, all the rest of it. And his confidence is starting to turn like many fans now because of the results of the Wallabies, about either close contests where they're in it, or the ones where they're starting to get up and over now. And you mentioned it before, but that the smattering of gold jerseys that aren't just in the stadium but are now in the middle of the week, it's a good sign.
It's great to see. I mean, I've been part of broadcast for over 20 years now, and there's been ups and downs. Of course, 2015 Rugby World Cup we make the final, and post that, even 2019 Rugby World Cup was difficult. But I think now what's happening is you really take it by Sunday morning when people are walking around, getting their coffee in a gold jersey or wearing a gold hat or a gold scarf, going to junior rugby. It's really just shows the temperature of where the game is, and it's great to see. And that's what you want. You want young boys and girls to aspire to be the next Joseph Suoli or the next Max Jorgensen or the next Sid Harvey from Narrabri. So that's what is special about the game. And I think Phil Waugh, as CEO, has done a great job to, obviously, out of debt now. They've got some money in the bank. Home Rugby World Cup in 2 years for the men's. Another 120, 130 mil should jump in the bank account. That'll still be distributed amongst the community and country rugby as well. But then you've got a home Women's Rugby World Cup in 29. So those two tournaments really important for Rugby Australia.
And also, I mean, the seeing things like sevens appearing in major international tournaments that are as significant as an Olympics, as a Commonwealth Games. And particularly this is where we see the early signs of the mega success of the female teams. Because just like, in women's cricket, about how, after a long graft in the shadows, once the spotlight was there, very long overnight success, but as soon as that spotlight's there, right at a world-class level and at a world champion level, particularly. We'll have a chat to Charlotte, one of those stars, a little bit later. But I love that. As the father of daughters, I love it that it's not just about dreaming to play the game, but hoping to watch and cheer it on like we did when we were little boys watching telly a long time ago.
Yeah, it's great for the girls too, for when you go, say we do coaching clinics, with the classic Wallabies, and other people go around to all the different schools around Australia, but you can go to Roma, a state school in Roma or Narrabri, and you can try and get, okay, we need a 15-a-side women's team, but then you need about 30 girls to do that. But if you go, let's play sevens at the school, you only need about 10 girls to commit to playing at 7-a-side, of course. And I think for someone like Charlotte Caslick, who you'll talk to soon, for her in Rio to be able to get a gold medal and then take that around Australia and show these young girls what you can aspire to, there's not many sports or codes, football codes, where you can go to the Olympics. So the best thing for us is to go around and tell young boys and girls that you can play rugby and you get the chance to potentially go to Olympic Games.
So I've always wanted to ask a person who, again, I've had the joy of meeting a few times, but watching and cheering on for a lot longer than that. When the crowds are as epic as a Bledisloe, or the crowds are as passionate as a country game, do crowds affect players?
Well, I'd much rather play in front of 75,000 people in a Bledisloe Cup game because everything's just a murmur. You can't hear anyone calling. You play at Narrabri in a club game, you can hear the old fella behind the goalpost putting you off for a goal kick or something. You can hear the voices more at country rugby and especially around the can bar as well. It's pretty noisy. But I think, when you look back to the Wallabies and what they've done recently, they go to Eden Park in Auckland next Saturday afternoon to try and beat the All Blacks, and then they go to Perth, sold out today. There's a sold out sign come up, Optus Stadium in Perth. So rugby is back, but I'm a big believer, you need to beat the All Blacks at least once a year for people to take real notice.
Yeah, it is a little bit like, say, again, cricket, the Ashes, that they are, obviously England in that case, but the idea of there is a world mark and it doesn't matter what the global rankings are. It's just, put simply, this is the acid test about whether we're up or down. Why do you think that they seem to be doing better in terms of play, in terms of results? What is it from the technical inside brain that can tell us why they're lifting a little?
Yeah, I think Joe Smith, the Wallaby coach, has done a wonderful job in the culture and the trust in the team now. And I think you look at where they beat Argentina in Townsville a couple of weeks ago. They scored in the 86th minute. Angus Bell goes over. I think they've just got so much trust and belief in the players around them now. Joseph Suoli playing at 13. Len Ikitau's probably one of the best 12s going around the world. I think Harry Wilson, as skipper of the Wallabies now, has really put a line in the sand on his leadership. So I think it's that pub test. If you're watching the Wallabies play against any team around the world and you're in the pub, you want to see them fight, you want to see them trust each other, and it's great at the moment. We just need to try and beat the All Blacks in a week's time.
All right. In the meantime, though, Narrabri is the focus. The Santos Festival of Rugby, a couple of days. And again, all different levels, lots of things to see. Crowd around for the next couple of days. But how good is this? I mean, the main drag on a Friday night, you wouldn't swap it for anything else,
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm actually looking forward to seeing you picking up this footy later on and having a little passing contest with Charlotte to see how you go.
I'll give you the tip, Tim. I am registered with the Australian Institute of Sport as an unco, all right? I know it's not a term we're not allowed to use anymore, but I guarantee this ball will go in places it has never been in the next
Looking forward
little
to
while.
seeing it. Yeah.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Tim Horan,
Thanks,
thank you
Paul.
so much.
Good to chat.
Part of course, the Santos Festival of Rugby here in Narrabri. It's all brought to you by the good people of Santos. Their CEO joins us in a moment or two's time to talk about the power of gas and its future. This is Paul Murray Live, doing it on a Friday night in Narrabri. I'm glad you're here. Stick around. Welcome back to Narrabri. We are here for the Santos Festival of Rugby. Yes, it is a commercial relationship. It is a partnership with Santos. They are the reason why we are here right now. But have a look at this. Just little kids getting the chance to... doing better than I would normally do with that. Look, little bit of rain here or there, but that's not going to keep people away. This is one of the big nights in Narrabri, one of the big nights in this part of regional New South Wales. Now, again, the story of Santos, I'm going to have a chance to have a chat to their boss in a second, but we had also the opportunity to know that the lights are on here, including the ones we're running right now because of the power of gas. That gas, of course, is coming from well below the ground. That, of course, requires the partnerships of locals and local farmers. So how does that work? How does that look? And how does the technology blow my mind? You'll see all in a moment. G'day and welcome to a working farm in Narrabri, which is in northern inland New South Wales. Tamworth, a couple of hours that way. Moree, a couple of hours that way. Dinner, a couple of years away. Yeah, I like it, Wagyu. There is oats in this field, and about a metre below where I'm standing right now is a gas pipeline. Yeah, all of this while gas is being extracted from the ground. The only sign that you can see of that pipeline, and it's the same all over Australia, is kind of the dial before you dig sign. This is a farm which for about 10 years has had gas wells on it, and I thought I should show you, rather than let you hear the stories about what it's like to actually have one here. Let's have a look. This is Andrew, he's with Santos. How long have you been with them now?
Almost 16 years.
All right, so this is a gas well. This is typical of what is in this region and typical of what is around the country, right?
For a coal seam gas well, this is very typical. Yes.
So the purpose of this gas well is to send the gas back to the power station, right?
That's correct. The gas from here comes out of the well and goes into an underground pipe network which goes back to the power station.
Okay, now this seems like a very small amount of area. Give us an idea of the square meterage. How much is this area that is this one well?
Yeah, it's roughly about half the size of a tennis court that we'd use for once a well's established. A little bit more area when we're drilling the well. We use a little bit more area to drill, but as soon as we can, we start to rehabilitate it. And of course, as you can see, we let the normal agricultural practices continue around the well.
So, explain some of the science. What is happening beneath this right now?
So right beneath this here, this wellhead here is a hole in the ground that we've drilled down to the reservoir, to the coal seam. And that hole is cased with steel and several layers of steel and cement through the upper levels, and it's basically just a production well that the gas flows into the well bore and up the well from the coal seam.
Part of your job is the relationship with the landholders. Explain how that works. Is that a proposition where people, because this has been around for a while, they know what's coming, they need some educating? What's the experience like when you're sitting down with somebody at their kitchen table saying, hey, you've got this thing, you can farm around it, but this thing is going to, or you'll be compensated for it, but also will help you with the power?
Yeah, look, we like to think of it as a partnership. We have access to what's underneath the ground, and the landholder owns what's on top of the ground. And we want to work with them. We want to form a partnership where we can work with them to get to where we need to get this resource out.
Yeah, you've got a good job. I like it. Thank you. All right, let's go and have a look at a power station. How does gas become electricity that can power so many homes in this region? Well, firstly, you need 4 terajoules. That is an awful lot of gas. But the piece de resistance, what turns it from gas into something you can charge your phone with? Well, this will make a rev head blush. Oh. This is a big donk. I know what a V8 engine looks like. I know in Formula One, V12 at one point in time. This is a V20.
It's a twin turbo V20 Jenbacher engine.
My goodness, this is phenomenal. So you've got to think of this entire place as this times 6, right?
That's correct.
So it's incredible, right? So again, give me an idea. The gas is coming in through here?
Yeah, gas flows into the engine here. It's used as the fuel for the engine. We just have 20 cylinders here with spark plugs. They're just an internal combustion engine, and the engine powers a big generator here, which generates the electricity.
The impact of what happens at this plant doesn't just flow into power lines, it runs into this wonderful local community too. Anna is an electrical contractor working closely with our mates at Santos, and her work depends on the success of this project.
We employ locals who live in Narrabri and Weewar. And they have families here as well. We have worked with Santos for a number of years now, and we're out on site every day of the week, 12 hours at a time, and we really love the work that we do out there. There are not many local community groups that are not supported by Santos. We're super grateful for all of their contribution to the local community.
How good is that? Kevin Gallagher is the Managing Director and CEO of Santos, and he joins us now here in the main drag of Narrabri because, of course, it's his idea, his passion that brings us the Festival of Rugby. Mate, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Paul. Great to be here.
Now, let's talk about some news elephants in the room, right, which, of course, the past 24, 48 hours about acquisition potential issues there with companies in Abu Dhabi. Straight up, why did this seemingly fall over, and why did it seemingly happen so late in the piece?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think, first of all, the job of the board is to look at these opportunities when they're presented to us, and the board, I think, as it's shown in the past, if people are serious about trying to buy the company, they'll always evaluate and engage and look at those opportunities. I think in reality, we gave a couple of extensions of time to XRG, and at the end of the day, the consortium just couldn't get there. You know, they just couldn't get there in the time frame. They couldn't get there, and you know, you'd have to ask them the reasons why, in terms of whether that was the risk around approvals, domestic gas obligations, whatever that might be. I think all of those things play a part, but ultimately they couldn't get there in the time frame, and we're back onto Plan E.
Now, you had quite a detailed conversation with my colleague and friend Ross Greenwood a little bit earlier in the day on his program. That's up on our website if people want to know more about those ins and outs. But again, still on the obvious issue here about there was plenty of suggestions that things like, say, Foreign Investment Review Board, that the Canberra at some point might have sent more than a smoke signal that this thing wasn't going to happen. Was there a conversation at some point where Canberra made it clear, no, this isn't going to get out of first gear?
Yeah, look, not with us, right? And so ultimately, the approvals for this deal are the responsibility of the buyer, not Santos. And so it's for them to have those conversations. And again, I'm sure whether there were conversations, signals, whatever, or just risk assessments by the other side, I'm sure all those things play into it. But ultimately, that's their decision, and we move on.
So let's talk about Narrabri from the perspective of the future and about what the gas project is, because things are going to ramp up here. Again, very significant project in terms of adding to the energy mix of New South Wales, which flows through to the rest of the country. But give me an idea about the next 12, 24 months in Narrabri and what it looks like here.
So I think the first thing, Paul, is to inform your listeners, your viewers tonight that the project's been approved.
Right.
Project was approved in 2020, so there's no challenge on that, right? That's the case. Narrabri, if it's up and running, would provide 50% of New South Wales gas requirements for the next 20, 30 years. So it's a fantastic project in terms of its impact it can have for New South Wales and the East Coast domestic gas market. What our focus now on is getting the approvals for the pipeline, because without the pipeline, there's no point building the project. So we're working through that process with landholders, and there's hundreds of those that we've got to sign up to that. We've got 30% of those already signed up. Probably need about 50% or so before we get our licence and our native title award. And again, we're working collaboratively with the Gomeroi Nation to get that to work through that process. Both processes are progressing well. I would hope certainly within the next 12 months we close and finalise those two processes, and then you're looking about 24 months after that to get the project online.
And also, I mean, so that experience that we saw of the idea that visibly the pipeline's underground. So this idea, if anyone has a perception, and obviously there are going to be moments where it's not, but say between a Narrabri and a Newcastle, wherever, right? Most of that is underground. What percent is underground? Give people an idea that obviously there's the transition of building it, but once it's up and running, as we saw on that farm, you can farm over the top of it.
Those who oppose developments like Narrabri tend to describe Santos and companies like Santos as mining companies. We're not miners, we're resource developers, we're gas developers.
Yeah.
And as you would have seen as you went around the countryside today, our projects are very low impact. And indeed, when the Independent Planning Commission approved the Narrabri project in 2020, in its approval documentation, it stated something along the lines of they found it very difficult to reconcile the level of concern by those opposing the project with the reality.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the fact it's very low impact.
Yeah, and I mean, look, again, we're your guests, but obviously there's resistance in some areas, right? No one's pretending it's not North Korea, all of that stuff, right? But again, the experience that I've had in Narrabri, as you can see with turning out here, that people are aware of what the project is. They're aware also that things like the power plant, lots of other things, there's lots of employment that goes with it. So I just want to ask, again, a general question about gas.
Yeah.
From the perspective of, again, somebody right in the middle of the game. We understand, nuclear off the table, coal-fired power being closed down, the firming technology as it's referred to, the stuff that's going to make sure that when the wind doesn't, all the rest of it, when the batteries start to flow, it's going to be gas. But it also seems that there's such complication about us being able to get to things like gas reserves and all of this. Because obviously, naturally, it's here, we want to be able to use it, but we also understand the employment, the taxation, all that comes with doing business with the rest of the world. Are we moving any further towards an East Coast reservation, something that the West nailed a long time ago, something that played out a little bit in the federal election, but are we getting closer there?
Look, I think we are. I mean, the government's got a gas review process ongoing at present, and reservation, I'm sure, is a big part of that. As an industry, the industry's moved a long way to supporting reservation, and that's been quite a journey for the industry. I first called for reservation, and I'm on record as supporting domestic reservations since 2018. And that's because I've always believed that, particularly for Santos, where we have a very large footprint, geographic footprint in Australia, we're an Australian company. Our home market, our base market is the Australian domestic market. So let's look after our home market first, right?
Yeah.
And that's always been my focus. As I say, now we've got the industry behind it, I think it's inevitable. I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, the true capitalists will always say, let the free market be the free market, right? But I think when it comes to energy and the ability to have energy as a comparative advantage for Australia to support other industries, then just make sure you have enough controls in place to ensure that your local industries and economies are supported.
All right. God love a bit of gas talk, but can we talk footy for a moment or two here?
All
right. So give me an idea about the Festival of Rugby and about how Tim was saying, sat down, had a chat with you in a pub, and you were the great driver, not just behind the idea, but how big the idea could be. Sitting here now, multiple years into it, how does it feel that this is now a highlight to be looked forward to year in or every couple of years here, or the same in Roma?
Well, I was brought up in a small village in Scotland. You can tell by the accent, right? I'm not a local. And so I had this idea that when I was brought up, we used to have galas and street parties like this. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could bring rugby to these regions, our strong rugby regions, connect professional elite sportsmen with the fans that probably rarely get the opportunity to go and watch that sort of sport, but bring it to their region. And Santos, if we can play a role in connecting the community with elite sport, fantastic. We should do that. We can do that. But it's also part of social license, being part of the communities. We set off on a mission 8, 9, 10 years ago to start employing more people locally, having more to do with the communities rather than just be a company in the community, right?
Correct.
Be part of that community. I think that's good for us. It's good for the communities. And people understand what we do. So you talked about there are some people who oppose it. Yes, but not many here.
Correct.
Right? Because we've been working with the communities for a long time to help them understand what we do. And when all the scaremongering goes on, take them out, visit our sites. We'll show you what we do firsthand, educate you on the technologies, the state-of-the-art technologies that we use across our operations. And that builds confidence and support. So it's a kind of win-win-win for everybody, including rugby.
Well, correct. Yeah. And part of, when we were talking to DK and everyone here at the local club, at the Boars, part of what you've done, apart from, you're on the jersey sponsor, fix them, this and that, they're talking about the lasting infrastructure of your relationship and support for them is things like, fixing light towers, about these sorts of things. And I've said this, we do a lot of great stuff with another great company in Harvey Norman in our normal, our towns, as you know. You came to the one, of course, one in Gladstone, I think it was, which is that you want to try to, when you're a company, leave some lasting legacies and help along the way. The idea that it's not just the footy club, it's lots of other things. And if something that is left out of tonight is that little girl has a good memory, that bloke had a good time, the players have a good memory of their experience here, then job well done.
Yes, and look, for me, I can be as arrogant as the next person as a CEO and get excited about, I'm going to be the best CEO ever or the worst CEO ever, whatever. Nobody will remember me in 5 and 10 years' time as the CEO of Santos for anything I did with gas. But I'll bet you there's people in the community that will remember in 10, 15, 20 years' time what we've done in those communities if we've made a positive, lasting impact. And so that brings a lot of joy to me, but to our staff, a lot of pride in what we do in the community. So you're absolutely right. When you see over 100 kids signed up for Tim's little coaching school tomorrow, that just shows you how impactful these things can be.
Kevin, thank you for the chat. Thank you for this festival of the next few days, and thank you for the support that you give the community.
And Paul, if I can just say thank you to you, and we've just got a little gift from you from the people in Narrabri.
Oh, hey.
And it's a wallaby's top with your name on it. Now, we didn't put a number on because we weren't sure if you're a tight prop hand or a fly half, but we'll let you decide.
Well, I'm happy to sit on the bench. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. How good's that? There you go. Officially, a wallaby. I might have to stretch this a little, but I'll do my best. Thank you. More in a sec from Narrabri. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a good Friday night wherever you happen to be. I should mention as well, normally this is the time of Steve Price, but he's having just the week off. You're seeing there some of the drills, the pass the ball that's taking place. Lots of the younger members, some teenage players supporting rugby here, and we'll get over to the ladies in a moment or two's time. We're here in Narrabri. What a magnificent part of regional Australia this is. Let's tell you the story of a town you've got to come and see.
Welcome to the beating heart of the Namoi Valley. A town with a rich agricultural history. For tens of thousands of years, the Kamilaroi people have been the traditional custodians of this land. European settlement began in the 1830s when explorers opened up the valley for sheep and cattle grazing. By the late 19th century, wheat and sheep were the backbone of this economy, and when the railway arrived in 1882, it put Narrabri firmly on the map.
It developed the connection between Newcastle and Sydney, gave us the opportunity for trade of our livestock, wheat.
Today, Narrabri is best known for its world-leading cotton production and grain farming. But like all parts of this magical country, it's the people that make it great. Like Jamie Condon, a typical local legend here.
Narrabri is an awesome town. Narrabri has got a lot going for it. I'm born and bred, so I'm probably a little bit biased, but I did escape away for 10 years to Newcastle, and I was very happy to come back. You know, I was born and raised here, and I think it's something about the mountains, the valleys, the flat plains. You know, it's the lifestyle, the outdoors. It's a healthy living. It's an amazing living. Camping, fishing, hunting, whatever you're into, it's got it all here in the region, and I think it's that community spirit that Narrabri has.
His ag tech company is helping support hard-working farmers here in Narrabri.
What we're seeing over the last 5 years has been some of the most productive times of recent history.
So why wouldn't you come to Narrabri?
Visitors to Narrabri, they definitely notice that, wow, Narrabri there's a lot happening here.
We have great outdoor areas of picnics, the walking path that's along here, the river, lots of playgrounds. It's a wonderful place to visit.
Narrabri, its history and hard work of its people is woven into the very fabric of the mighty New South Wales.
Daryl Tiemans has the opportunity of being the local mayor, and he joins us now. Lovely to see you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for welcoming us here.
Thank you very much, Paul. Great to welcome you in Narrabri Shire. So,
mate, this joint, it's been beautiful to be here for a couple of days. The next few days and that Festival of Rugby are big, but let's talk about how this joint's going. You're very proud of how it's doing. You're very proud of how it's doing economically. How is Narrabri punching above its weight?
Well, Narrabri Shire is actually the second largest the economy in the inner northwest of New South Wales, and we're very, very proud of the economy. It's just ticking along very well. We've got a very diversified economy, so we've got not just agriculture, but we've also got a lot of mining, and we're actually the second largest ag shire in all of Australia. So I'm very proud, and this shire punches above its weight. We pay a hell of a lot of tax, and royalties and GST, and I have to say we do not get very much of that back from either the feds or the state government.
This is, in all the years I've been doing shows around regional Australia, that's the constant refrain. And it is the truth that the places that are doing the hard graft, the ones that are working around the clock, they need their fair share, don't they?
Absolutely. Like we've had situations where we've had some issues with our hospitals. We've got one of our hospitals where at 5:30 every night, the emergency department closes down at 5:30 every night.
Blimey.
And it's the only hospital in Australia that does it. So, I mean, the governments just squeeze, economies like this, squeeze the life out of them. They expect us to have a highly professional, educated group of people out here, but they don't support the farmers, they don't support the business people. And quite frankly, we're kind of a bit sick of the way the feds and the state government treats an area like Narrabri.
Geez, so get out, this bloke's the mayor. This is a good fire up. I like it. No, it's good. No, it's good. You can come and fill in any time. I love it. Now, give me an idea here too. The people. Everywhere's going to say that it's special, but the thing that's special here is that even just going up and down the main drag, I could have had, and I mentioned it before, I could have had an hour-long conversation in every single shop. I could have done the same with the fireys. That obviously when you're a representative, they'll give it to you when they want to, but their heart is it's not in the right place, it's in this place.
Absolutely committed. And look, this is an extraordinarily friendly place. And I certainly absolutely love Narrabri. And we've got so many great businesses and so many great things happening out here. But there's also the uniqueness of some of the powerhouse businesses that we've got out here. And we've got so many people really giving it a go. Many of the politicians in Canberra and Macquarie Street have never had to find wages, but we've got people out here building businesses. We've got 2,000 businesses just in Narrabri, 2,000 businesses, registered businesses in our local area, and people are giving it a go, and they really want to try and build a future for themselves and their families. So it's just we're sick of the naysayers in Canberra and Macquarie Street that give everyone a hard time, but we're a shire of doers and not shire of takers, so it's great.
Correct. Daryl, lovely to meet you, mate. Thank you very
too,
much.
Paul.
What
Thanks.
a wonderful...
Thanks for going to Narrabri.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to a big weekend here. All right, quick break. Back with more. Time to throw around a footy or two here in the main drag of Narrabri for the Santos Festival of Rugby. More in a sec. All right, from everyone here in Narrabri, g'day Australia, hello! Now, a special shout out, here's William. Alison has been watching the show for as long as she can remember. I just want to say thank you, darling. Anything you want to say on national TV? Bugger the lefties. No, good, excellent, right? Thank you, darling. Can I give you a cuddle? Thank you so much. She has been the nicest lady to meet here. Really appreciate it. Good on you, darling. Thank you. Okay, you're the best. Thank you. All right, now let's get into the footy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. All right, Charlotte Kaslik is here. Come on in, my love. Of course, a rugby champion, an Olympic champion, but today she is the champion of the main drag of Narrabri. And by the way, have a look at her boots. Have a look at these. What a ripper. All right, so how cool is it to see so many kids, especially girls, and of course, the ladies of the Reds here today?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think just seeing all the kids turn up, and hopefully tomorrow when they get to watch these girls play, we might inspire the next generation of Reds, Waratahs and Wallaroos. So yeah, this is exactly what rugby needs.
All right, so let's have a look at some people's skills, right? We're firstly going to start. Who wants to have a crack?
Hey,
Just give it a go. Now, this has been happening all afternoon. You just keep passing away, guys, as we'll talk about things. Charlotte, to see so many kids fired up about the sport really matters, but how good is it to be able to do it in a country town?
Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, you can't be what you can't see, and if you don't get to be exposed to girls playing in front of you in these country towns, they don't get inspired and have that dream to keep on playing. So hopefully tomorrow we inspire a few young girls to pick up a footy. So
a Rugby World Cup is in the rearview mirror, fingers crossed. One in Australia in a few years' time, but also the way that the women's players have just been kicking ass, right? You think you'll be around?
I'm hoping to be around for the home World Cup. Like to play at a Rugby World Cup in home soil will be amazing. But obviously I'm getting on now, so we'll see.
All right. Well, Charlotte, thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. Thank you. All right, now let the action happen behind me here, where we've got plenty of kids. Who do you want to say good day to on TV? No swearing.
Maggie, Lordy, hello.
All right.
We love you, Maggie. Love you, Maggie.
What about 6s and 7s? Are we doing 6s and 7s? I still have no idea what that means. 6 and 7. Yeah. Again, am I like swearing on TikTok if I do that? It's a good thing. Okay. Yeah. All right. We've had a great time in Narrabri. Thank you so much for being part of it here. Thanks to Santos for making it happen. Thank you, ladies. And again, to Ali and her little brother. She was so gorgeous. She came up to me before. She was so excited. She said, I've been watching you almost every day of my life. And that means the world to me. And so good to be here in regional Australia. See you again back in the Man Cave. Enjoy your weekend. Mine's going to be great in Narrabri. Ta-da.